Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 40. Woo! Today is Tuesday, April 29th, whatever, 2014, and I just realized I didn't put my coffee. Oh well, it won't be the end of the world. Maybe I'll have some coffee while I watch myself and write the show notes, because it's an adventure. No one knows what's going on. As you can tell, we are outside. Hopefully the lighting isn't too crazy today. But I figured that there aren't too many days in the year where my dogwood tree is blooming, so I figured we may as well hang out outdoors today. So this week has been a pretty crazy one for me. I am finishing up my master's degree in electrical engineering at Purdue University, and this is the last week of classes. Next week is finals, and the week after that is graduation. Woo! So it's just been a little bit crazy pants the last couple of days, and it'll continue to be crazy pants for the next couple of days, but such is life. So the next order of business is I probably need to talk about my knitting. I am working on the Strand Wanderer. It is by Leah Victoria Kubi, I believe that's how you say it. If not, it's Cube or something like that. I'm pretty sure that she's German. And I am knitting this out of Woolmeisel lace in the M. Colton Polar colorway, or I'm assuming it is. It is, oh, I can't even see what's going on the screen. It is a combination of blues, purples, and teals, and it's quite lovely. And like currently I'm sort of in an awkward place in the knitting that really wasn't worth, oh, it's also very blustery, so if it's a little shaky, it's my like laptop preparing to launch off the table. But there really isn't, strictly speaking, there are only a couple of good stopping points to show you guys, and I wasn't willing to wait that much longer to podcast. So, as you can see, it's coming along. I am in my pickup row right now, so there is quite a bit hanging loose on the needles. It's sort of slightly infuriating working on this project because you're basically casting off and picking back up again and knitting a couple rows and casting off again, so it's just a little bit crazy making. You're doing effectively a knit on border to make this how it goes. I've just finished the 19th stripe, I believe. Excuse me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, yeah. So I finished the 19th stripe. The designer had put down 26 for hers. I'm not sure how much it's going to take, but I do know for a fact. So I weighed this before I started to pick up again, and I was at 82.6 grams. So I also weighed my needles. They are 5.8 grams, which means that I am more than halfway done with this now. Yay! So that was very happy. I don't think I got nearly as much knitting time as I usually do this week, so I'm impressed. So, halfway. I still have, what is it? 262 grams left in my skein. This guy's a monster. Just a monster. But hey, I figure that's the best way to quantify progress at this point, is how much it weighs and, what is it? How much it weighs and how many stripes I have. It is very... So based on whatever, so you can have square knitting, and you can have triangular knitting, and you can have circular knitting, and you can have crescent, stuff like that. This shape definitely qualifies as the, what is it? The 22.5 degrees, which is halfway between the 45, or half of the angle for the 45-degree knitting, which would be like the triangle or something like that. Does that math make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So it's definitely going to be very, very long. I would say that when this project's done, it's going to be very scarf-like. And I think right now, what was it? Did I end up trying it on last week? I don't remember if I did or not. It might be slightly awkward, but it's the case where, what is it? It's maybe somewhere between 6 to 8, somewhere between whatever, 6 to 8 inches deep at this point. Oh, wind. And so it's definitely, what is it? It's definitely a shawlette size now. So I could wear this point down, tail like this, and it would hold on quite nicely. So probably its wingspan now is about mine. So this is going to be a monster, a total monster when it's done. But, whatever. So it shall continue to grow longer and continue to grow deeper, but it's going to grow longer much, much faster than it is going to grow deeper. And that has really been all of the knitting content this week. I didn't end up touching Marit's. Oh, I remember what else I wanted to say. So this is a part of the Oldest Anything knit along. This is a knit along that I am doing with Emily of the Watch Us Watchin' podcast. So far in my thread, we have one finished object, and this knit along will be running until, this knit along is running from April 1st all the way to May 31st. So there is plenty of time to jump in. There's plenty of time to join. And I really highly recommend that you do so. Because, what is it? So it's the case where, with this particular knit along, this is my oldest skein of wool mice lace. It is my only skein of, this is my only multicolored skein of wool mice lace. And it is a pleasure to finally get an opportunity to knit with it. So it's just the case where, if you want to really get behind the spirit of the cow, it is digging around in your stash and finally getting to use something that's been living there for a long time. So I highly recommend. Like, it sort of feeds into that whole need for spring cleaning and all that other stuff, because you, like, what is it? So it'll be the case where you're like, wow, I haven't gotten a chance to do anything with this yet, and you know what? Now is the time. So we still have more than a month left in the knit along, and I highly encourage you guys to drop by and chat it up and everything else. There have been all sorts of gorgeous pictures in progress and all that other stuff. I don't think so. I know that definitely today I'll be taking photos to update Ravelry on this project, so it'll be a good time for me to also do whatever and update in the Cal thread as well. I also have another project for the Oldest Anything knit along. It is actually a spinning project. It is my oldest obligation project. And this week I managed to finish spinning the singles for the second half of the fiber optic gradient. This is a gradient that is going from indigo to emerald. And I'm actually ended up already plying the emerald side of things. I don't know if you guys can even see the barest bits of green under there. But it is plying up lovely. Oh man, my computer is the camera is so confused by the colors. when I end up holding it so close. But so I am two-plying this. For a little while, I was plying with both balls on the table. The problem with that is when you're going from the outside of two center pole balls, like your relative distance ends up changing as you're adding the twist for plying. So I ended up, I don't know why I ended up not doing this earlier, but I threw them in my bag, and so the distance between my hand and me wearing the bag on my arm is such that it doesn't get like tangled up and stuff like that. So definitely a very important tool for plying. And these are my two balls. One of them is a little bit heavier than the other, but I ended up spinning. So this is the second. This guy here is the second half. And I'm still in the teal for this one, but I ended up spinning it a good deal thicker, especially towards the end. I finished the singles Friday night, and so then I've been plying ever since. Hopefully it's not too loud and windy. Leaves blowing. It's very, very windy today. Hopefully it's not too bad in terms of hearing and stuff like that. So this one is definitely, the smaller one here is definitely in the blue. So I have about 30 grams left of this one, and I have about 40 grams of this one, but I think they're going to end up finishing at the same time. Hopefully. Maybe. Who knows? So what it's resulted in is a very subtle transition where you have a little bit of the next color applied together with a little bit of the last color. So we shall see how it ends up finishing. Probably, so I'm spinning this for my mother-in-law. She wanted about a fingering weight yarn. And I'm not sure at this point if it's fingering weight here. I don't know if now I've gotten to the point where I spun the last bit of this as a fingering weight single or not. We shall see. It's definitely not the most consistent spin of my life. It's probably not the most inconsistent spin either, but what can you do? So it's plying up great. It feels wonderful. It'll be, I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to see the look on my mother-in-law face when I finish it, but such is life. It might turn out that I end up ferrying this when I end up seeing my father-in-law in a couple of weeks for a rock climbing trip. So we'll see how it goes. And I don't think my next spinning project will be or will qualify for the oldest anything knit along at that point. So because I have the new fleece, this means that perhaps I should finish spinning the old fleece, which means that I should get going on that. But it doesn't necessarily count for, it is my first fleece, but I don't think it necessarily counts in the spirit of things as my oldest fleece, if that makes any sense. So I do really need to get cracking on spinning it again. This was a pleasant diversion, and it's taken far less time than I was expecting to spin this anyways. So this is, excuse me, I have like an itch in my throat or something like that. So this is my last braid of fiber for the, what is it, for the completely twisted arbitrary spin the bin spin along. And so it means that the rest of my bin is the Shetland fleece. I'm also doing the Shetland fleece is a part of my pound-a-thon spin, and so I've spun 2 ounces of it this year. So I still have 30 ounces to go, so I'd better get going on that. Sorry, readjust. It might even be too warm to wear a shawl today, so I suspect that I'm pretty sure that I can show you guys the finished yarn next week. It's so much faster and easier to ply than it is to spin, so it should be done real fast. And let's see, because of all of the craziness with school ending and all of that other stuff, I don't think it's going to be possible to record again until next Wednesday, which now I need to look at my computer and figure out what that day is. What is next Wednesday? So today is the 29th, but I'm not going to do math on air today. It's been one of those sorts of days. So because I have to take an exam on the 6th, I'm probably going to record on the 7th of May. So, yeah, no, like May starts, what is it, Thursday? That's exciting. So because of that, I'm probably going to be recording again on the 7th. And I'm not sure how my recording schedule is going to change, but I definitely know for sure that I need a little bit more than a week before the next podcast, but it shouldn't be a big deal. And frankly, it's getting really close to my 1-year podiversary. Isn't that crazy? So that is a couple episodes away. I don't think I'm going to actually make it to... There's no way that I'm going to be making it to 52, so I'm wondering what sort of counting fail, or I ended up missing a couple of weeks or something like that. But that shouldn't be too big of a deal. I don't think I'm going to do anything special for my podiversary. I think in some ways doing the oldest anything Cal would be... oh, I forgot to show the skein of yarn that you could win. But I'm probably not... I showed it to you guys last week. It shouldn't be a big deal. I'll show it again as we get closer to the end so you can, whatever, be motivated. Motivation! So what would it be? Thinking. I would say that if... if 20 people have posted in the finished object thread, that I'd be happy to throw in another prize from my stash for the oldest anything Cal. But for the time being, it's looking like it'll be a number less than that. So you guys will all be vying for the skein of Everything Old lace in the Absence colorway. And it is quite lovely stuff. So, yeah, excitement. So what else? So I was very excited to find out this week that the Stash Dash Cal will be starting up very soon. And that's going to go from the Friday before Memorial Day to August 8th. And I'm not sure, honestly, if I can knit a whole 5,000 meters in that time frame. But I'll definitely give it a try. There are probably a couple projects on the horizon that I would like to do, but I'm not sure if I could get that much unless I'm like spinning like the wind. And even then, I think my total spinning for the sweater will only... I think I need to get in the range of 1,000 to 1,500 yards for the sweater spin. So I don't think that's going to carry me all the way there. And finishing this shawl will get me like 750 yards of the way there, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it, but I tend to knit with the finer stuff, and that takes a bit longer to knit with than other things, so who knows. But I'm definitely going to be giving it a try, but I will probably immediately start doing the chatelaine spinning, because it does need to be moving forward slowly but surely. Maybe I can count dyeing. I'll have to ask that in the thread. I still need to over dye the what is it, the Feldmouse yarn. So we'll see how that goes. And it's looking like this week's episode will be incredibly short, which will probably slightly make up for the incredibly long episode from last week. But such is life. So I will see you again on Wednesday the 7th. And I hope you all have a lovely week. And I hope you enjoyed the swaying of my flowering tree. So, all right. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.